Okay, the clock strikes midday, and that means we're going to start our masterclass and tell you guys all about our latest feature, group visibility. So the agenda is pretty straightforward. We want to talk about group visibility and really what is it and why the concept came about. And Shraddha will take you through some classic use cases which we've already adopted for some of our customers, and we've already got this feature in place. We'll be able to share with you what we're doing so far, and also some things that we know that you can do with it. How to manage it, and also that good old chestnut, if you run into any issues, you know, what can we do? So we probably won't take the full half hour. Group visibility as a concept itself is really quite straightforward. We were putting this session together and sort of going, you know, this is really quite simple, but we need you to know, you know, we want you to know about it so you use the feature. The devil's probably in the detail as to, you know, how you want to adopt it and how we would apply it in your current environments. So I think it's really going to be unique for each one of you, and that's why I would really encourage your ideas to come through to support and talk to us about what it is that you really want to achieve with group visibility. So I'll be monitoring the questions as we go, but for now, I think I'll hand it over to Shraddha.
Thank you. All right, getting straight into it, what is group visibility? So like Michelle said, it's a very simple and straightforward feature that lets you group a certain kind of offers together to sort of have the visibility or control to assign visibility to people just to that offer, just to that group. So what is it? So previously what HROnboard provided was a way to control visibility depending on your companies and locations, or just the offers that you've created. Now we've realized since then that that's pretty rigid, so we've created this new feature called groups, where you have the flexibility to create your own group to assign visibility. Why we've done this is you can be creative and create groups in such a way that it can be very high level. So for example, you can group a certain number of companies together, or you can go down to the details and pick up the fields that you actually use when creating the offers and group them together. So it's really a feature that as you use it becomes more scalable, I can say. We also have realized that it's not enough for us to actually give you just the visibility of a company or location. We also have a new feature where you can assign visibility to all, which means if you have a certain person who requires visibility of every offer in your environment, you can just give them that visibility. So currently HROnboard provides visibility in 4 different ways. So you have all visibility, which is a person can view every single offer in your environment. You have company and locations visibility, which is you say that this particular person needs to view all offers for this company. And then you have groups visibility, which is you say this person should only be allowed to see offers under this particular group, or you have own visibility, which is you only say that the person creating the offer can see only the offers that they've created, basically.
Lots of different levels, isn't there?
Yes. And use cases for groups, this is where you get a little more creative. So currently what we've implemented for a few of our customers is having to group all their executive offers together, or having to group their HR offers together. So we've had this come up a few times before, where you've created offers for your peers, but you don't actually want to see those offers, or you don't want others to see offers that were created inside a group. For example, if it's an HR offer, you're creating one for your peer, you should basically they or anyone in the group shouldn't be allowed to see that offer. So if you create a group specifically for HR offers, you can exclude that group from that particular team so that they're not allowed to see those offers. Once we get into the details of it, it gets a bit more clear. It's very simple to create and maintain, which I'll take you through in a sec. So what we have here is our demo environment, our playpen, where I've created a few different groups, as you can see. The groups can be created in 2 ways. You can either have a group without any conditions associated to it, or you can have groups with conditions associated to it. So as you can see, the first 2 offers is conditionless groups. and the second two have conditions with them. So the difference between these is with groups that don't have conditions in them, you actually have to select which group that offer belongs to when you're creating that offer. So when you're creating an offer, you will see groups and you will see these two, provided you're given that visibility, which we'll go do it in a bit. And then you actually select which group that particular offer sits in. This only comes up when there's no condition associated with it, whereas the other two groups have conditions associated with them, so it automatically picks up what group that offer falls into on the back end, and you don't really have to assign a group to that offer. Now, creating a group is very simple. So you just say add, put in a name. You can just like say test. If you want to put in a condition, you can put in a condition and you say create. Now, at this point, what happens is it creates a group for you. So you can go into that particular group. Give me a sec. You can go into that particular group and you can choose two things. You can choose to apply these groups to all your existing offers, or you can choose to apply these groups to any new offers that are created.
Oh, so you can retrospectively.
Yes.
Right.
So that happens. Yeah, so you can choose to do that. So what happens is, if you don't have a condition, obviously it will be assigned as you go along. But if you do have a condition on it, as soon as the condition's met, you apply it to all existing offers. You can get very creative with groups. So there are a lot of different use cases that you can use groups for. And conditions as well can expand in that way. So you can group multiple workflows together for people who have onboards for contractors, onboards for employees, onboards for a different kind of group of employees. You can get creative and have certain groups for them. There's really a lot you can do with this. Now, once you've created the groups, you've got to assign these groups to users. So if you go into a user, on the visibility tab, usually you either select companies and locations or you select on. Right now, as I said, we have 4 different options. You can select all, you can select companies and locations, groups, or on. So when you select groups and save, it will give you another tab called groups, in which all the existing groups will be displayed and you can actually select them. This is how you assign a group to a particular user. So once that is done, the user gets visibility of that group, and going forward, if there's no conditions, they can add those groups to the office, or if there's conditions, it automatically gets assigned. So once an offer is created, how do you check what group it sits in? So if I move here, so this is the offer I created earlier this morning. You can see that on the offer file summary, it states just under companies and locations what groups this particular offer sits in. So it says HR offers and it says WIC offers. What this means is any user who has visibility of HR offers and WIC offers can see this particular offer. There's another way you can check what or who can see this offer, which is under visibility. As you can see, there's 3 people who can see this offer. So there's the owner, that is the person who's actually created the offer. There's the reviewer. Whoever has reviewed the offer has direct visibility to the offer, so they'll be listed in here as well. Anyone with all visibility can see this offer. So Naz here, who's my manager, who has visibility to view all offers. Even though he didn't create it, he didn't review it, he's not directly associated with that offer, he can still see it because he has the visibility to see all offers. And then you have Marcus here, who's a colleague of mine. He has visibility set to companies and locations, and this particular company he can see. So that's why he's got visibility to see this offer. So if you want to maintain all your users only on groups, you will have to make sure that their visibility is sitting on groups and not companies and locations. There's multiple layers to it. I think once you get into what you want to achieve out of groups, we can sort of break it down and see what is the best combination for you.
It starts to make sense a little bit more practically,
There's multiple layers that comes with groups. It can be very straightforward as to have just multiple groups with no conditions at all, and then you just select what groups it falls into when you're creating an offer, which is straightforward and very easy to use. And then you have conditions and whole heap of different levels of conditions that you can put in to actually use it.
Which we don't want to overcomplicate it, because you really need to be confident in making sure the right people are seeing the right offers, and if there's such a layer of complication that's hard to understand on the face of it, we would look for a much simpler solution.
What we usually like to recommend is have a group that can see everything. So in case you're creating groups that are in particular sections, it's good to have a person or at least a couple of people who have the overall visibility so that you can, see all the offers.
Yes, definitely. So we've got a few questions coming in, Sharada. Sarah's asked, back when we were talking about how you can sort of retrospectively apply the group to existing offers, can you actually stop the groups with conditions applying to those existing offers?
Yes, you can.
Wonderful.
So say this is, again, a very simple example. Say you have 500 offers sitting in your environment, and there's one person who you don't want assigned to that group you're creating. Say you're creating a group for non-executive offers, and there's one executive offer sitting in your environment currently, which you want excluded from this. So what you basically do is you put in a condition saying that if the name is not whoever that person is, exclude them from the group.
Exclude them. Right.
So you can actually build a condition in such a way that you can actually exclude certain people. Usually it's based off their branch or division, which makes it a little more generic than the name.
Which goes to Catherine's question, and it's sort of part of this answer is if you use this, do you need to assign all offers to a group, or can you have some offers not attached to any group or visible at all?
That's a very good question, and that goes back to when I said that you need one person or at least a group of people who have visibility to all groups, which is when you say you set their visibility to all and you set everyone else's visibility to a certain section of offers. So you don't really have to have all offers fall into one group or the other. You can exclude a certain set of offers which don't sit in any group, but actually have someone who has all visibility so they can see those excluded offers.
You probably need a few people still wanting to see.
Just so you can cover.
Exactly. And Kathy's asking, can you give people a location and a group? And
no. So as of now, it should be groups or companies and locations.
Cool. Wonderful. That's all the questions for now.
Right. So that's pretty much what groups is. It's very straightforward as a concept, but it can get a little tricky when you're breaking it down and looking at how you want to apply it to your existing offers.
Yes, definitely. So one thing that came to my mind, and I really don't like to think of the worst case scenario, but what happens if this stuffs up and you accidentally give visibility of an executive offer to the region of Victoria, who shouldn't have seen that offer at all? And we know, guys, this doesn't happen very often at all, but we want you just to have that level of comfort that it can be very easily controlled if that unfortunately does happen.
It's a good question. So what usually happens is when you're creating an offer, you create it, you send it out for review, you can actually view the offer file. So for example, this is an offer that I just created with sitting with review. You can just check the visibility to see who actually can see this particular offer. So if it's a highly confidential offer and then you see there's someone else that can view it, I would basically do two things. One is delete the offer and start over again, or correct the visibility of that particular person. So remove them from that group that they're actually getting visibility from.
Yes, and then just recheck it and make sure, so it's really checking that visibility tab, especially if you're working with offers that needs to be locked down, that you've got that setting right. All right, cool. And do you have to, is there a specific permission that, I know guys who've been with us for a long time, is there anything that existing admins need to do or to have a permission to use this?
Yes. So the group's permission is actually rolled into the company and locations management permission. So it's this one, which says that if you have company and group management, you will be able to create companies, create groups, and manage them going forward. So you have to make sure you have that ticked on if you're creating groups in your environment.
Yeah, great. Great. So I think we've really sort of explained the concept, and I know it can get a little bit mind-boggling, but it's really, I think, talking to each of you individually as to how you want to use this. Probably the classic case, and I had this a couple of weeks ago, someone mentioned to me that they were sending out a manual offer because they didn't want it to go through the system in case anyone saw it. That is a classic example, and that's probably a really good place to start. If you know that there's offers that are going out due to visibility concerns, you know, that's a classic group that we can create. So really start from there, and then your ideas might then start to fall into place. But again, don't overcomplicate it. You know, you might not even have the need to use it. You know, but it's good for you guys to know it. This is why we do the masterclasses. We want to make sure that you're aware of all the big features that you can use.
It just gives you the flexibility of having it in there. You have that option available if you want to create your own groups for the purpose of visibility.
But don't go crazy. That's what I'll say. But you've got your trial environments, so do use that as a really good sort of testing ground to start bringing these ideas to light, and then we can just come in, jump into your trial environments and check it over and make sure that you've got, you know, all the concepts and those things all right, and then we'll just mirror it in production for you. And that's why you have your trial environments, to start playing around with new features. So we definitely encourage you to do so. So I think that's it. We're really wrapping up 10 minutes early, which is good. Means you get a bit more of a lunchtime, you guys. You know, these aren't supposed to be dragged out. We just want to be, you know, get you over what we're doing, all the new features that we're releasing. We've got a couple more. We've got a release coming up in the next few weeks, which has got some pretty cool things around changing start dates included in that. So stay tuned for that. I can't say too much more, otherwise product will kill me. But otherwise, yeah, I hope you enjoyed this, and we're really looking forward to chatting with you more about group visibility. And other than that, wishing you a wonderful day, and speak with you soon. Oh, and we might have one last. Yeah, session has been recorded, Sarah, so we will get that on our LinkedIn user group, and make sure you get a copy as well. So that's it. That's a wrap. See you guys at our next masterclass or around the traps, and have a great day. Thanks, everyone.